Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to live stream tonight, Kids Connection. We're going to be talking about me tonight, talking about Daniel and the Lion's Den. But before we get there, we're going to sing a few songs. So, since we're talking about the lion, the lion is pretty strong, pretty powerful. We're going to sing Who's the King of the Jungle. So, make sure you get your hands ready. We're going to be doing some motions as we sing this one. So, here we go. Who's the king of the jungle? Who's the king of the sea? Water, water, water. Who's the king of the universe? And who's the king of me? His name is J-E-S-U-S. Yes, he's the king of me. He's the king of the universe, the jungle and the sea. Water, water, water. Who's the king of the jungle? Who's the king of the sea? Water, water, water. Who's the king of the universe? And who's the king of me? I have a question for you guys. Do y'all believe that God is good and that He answers prayers? Tonight we're going to be talking about Daniel and how he was always faithful in his prayers. He was always praying. And even in a lion's den, he was praying and God heard him. So before we jump into the video, let's sing God is So Good, and we'll also sing the verse He answers prayers. God is so good. God is so good. God is so good. He's so good to me. And He answers prayers. He answers prayers. He answers prayers. He's so good to me. All right, here's our video for this week. Hope you guys.
Stories of the Bible. Daniel in the Lion's Den. This is Daniel.
Oh, hey!
Who was a Jewish man who was taken to Babylon when he was very young.
Yeah.
Daniel loved God and followed God's rules. He talked to God 3 times a day and asked God for help often. Daniel served in the Babylonian king's court for many years.
Yeah, I know him.
And under many kings.
Hey, Daniel.
Daniel always proved himself to be more capable than all the other court officials.
Thanks. Well, anytime.
Daniel was serving under King Darius, and because of his great abilities, the king made plans to place him in charge of the entire empire.
Wow, okay.
The other court officials searched for some fault in Daniel, but they couldn't find anything wrong with him. He was faithful, responsible, and completely trustworthy.
Wait!
The court officials realized the only way to get at Daniel would be to challenge his faith.
Come on!
So they went to King Darius
Excuse me, Your Majesty.
and advised him to make a law that for the next 30 days, any person who prays to anyone except King Darius will be thrown into the lion's den.
I like it.
King Darius signed this law, and once a Babylonian king signed a law, it could not be overruled. When Daniel learned of this law, he went home and knelt down, as he always did, to pray in his room with the windows open towards Jerusalem. He prayed 3 times a day, just as he always had done, giving thanks to God and asking for his help. The officials went to Daniel's house and found him praying.
Gotcha!
They went to the king and reminded him of the law.
I remember.
Well...
Then they said that Daniel had been found praying to God 3 times a day.
What?
When the king heard this, he was very upset,
Get over here.
and he spent the whole day trying to think of a way to save Daniel.
Wait, what?
By that evening, the court officials came back to the king and reminded him that no law signed by the Babylonian king could be overruled. So at last, the king gave orders for Daniel to be thrown into the lion's den. The king said to him, "May your God, who you serve faithfully, rescue you." Then the lion's den was sealed shut with Daniel inside. The king spent the night fasting and couldn't sleep. Then very early in the morning, the king hurried to the lion's den. He called out,
Hey, Daniel!
"Was your God able to rescue you from the lions?" And Daniel answered, "Long live the king! My God sent his angel to shut the lions' mouths so that they would not hurt me, for I have been found innocent in his sight." The king was overjoyed and ordered that Daniel be taken out of the lion's den. Then the king ordered the men who had schemed against Daniel to be thrown into the lion's den as punishment. Daniel was safe. There was not a scratch on him, for he trusted in God.
Guys, have you ever been close to a lion before? Like, have you ever been to a zoo and like been really close to a lion? Guys, they're kind of big and they're kind of scary, and we got one right here.
You know, I was going to roar, but the expression on this lion's face seems kind of joyful instead of angry. So I'm just going to let him chill out here for a minute.
Dude, isn't this an awesome craft this week?
Oh man, they
Like,
did incredible.
This is
yeah.
fantastic.
So good.
But seriously though, think about lions, you know. Do you think of a movie when you think about lions?
Well, there is one.
There's one, yeah?
Yeah, that is pretty popular in the Mayfield household. I don't know if you know of this guy, but his name's Simba.
Simba? Yeah.
Yeah. And his dad was King Mufasa.
Yeah.
Dies. He goes on this little journey with a pig and a meerkat. And then saves everybody. It's incredible. Spoiler alert, sorry if you haven't seen it. But
yeah.
Good movie. You might want to check it out. Really, biographical pick.
Mm-hmm.
Good thing.
Yeah. But isn't it so, lions are so terrifying.
Yeah.
They're massive. They have this roar that's kind of scary.
Have you ever actually heard, been present like a zoo or something,
Yeah.
and heard a lion roar?
Yes.
Like, it is terrifying.
Yeah.
Like, it shakes everything in you.
Yeah. I've also been around McCoy too.
Yeah, he can roar pretty good. That's true. He has been known to get a pretty good roar in.
Yes. We have these massive animals that are terrifying, and we see this man named Daniel this week, and he goes up against them. This is kind of familiar for us, of somebody going up against something terrifying. Last week we talked about three of Daniel's friends, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and they were faithful to God, and they faced a huge fire, and they stood strong in their faith, and they had to go into the fire, and God saved them out of the fire. And this week we find Daniel in a similar situation, where there's a law that's made, and if anyone's found worshiping any other god, then they'll be thrown into a lion's den. And I don't know about you, but if that was the case here, I'd be kind of scared. You know?
But you know what I kind of want to tell those guys that are messing with Daniel?
Yeah.
Shadrach? Like, get some new material.
Yeah.
Obviously, it didn't work the first time with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Get some new material. The whole thing where just because they're worshiping Yahweh, the Jehovah God, you already got beat once and proven wrong. Like, you would think that would make people change their minds. But people get so caught up in their own, what they want, that sometimes they're dumb.
Yeah.
And they don't they forget what happens and move forward. But new king, right?
Yeah.
So the king, it wasn't necessarily the king being dumb. Even
Darius.
though, Darius. Have you ever heard him called Darius before? Darius, what we usually say. But Darius, whichever way you want to say it, if he didn't know, you would think someone close to him would have warned him, like, hey, they tried this before.
Yeah.
And this is what happened.
Yeah.
But once we know our egos get going, sometimes, and it's pretty obvious, and that just speaks to Daniel too. Like, King Darius is distraught whenever he's forced to throw Daniel into the lion's den, which I would say, you're the king. Why, no one can make you do anything. But they pretty much made him do it, and he didn't want to. But I love it that he doesn't sleep. The king doesn't sleep all night. This just talks about the character and faith of Daniel, right? Mm-hmm. He's so secure and so good. Like, he didn't even really want the king to worry about it. He's like, I believe that God will take care of me. And he doesn't sleep all night. And the first thing he does in the morning is run and yell for Daniel. He's been in a pit. We were just talking about how terrifying lions are, right?
Yeah. He's
been in a pit all night, or a den, I guess.
Yeah.
A den all night with the lions.
Yeah.
what is Darius thinking is going to happen whenever he runs up and yells Daniel's name, unless he believes that Daniel's God is more powerful than anything?
Yeah.
And yeah, go ahead.
What do you think Daniel did in the den all night? I mean, could you imagine?
Think he like braided the lion's mane?
I have
or
no
something?
idea. Yeah, I just picture him just like the lions laying around him, just kind of petting them.
They may have made like a bed for him. He got a good night's sleep.
Yeah.
Maybe? I
Who
don't
knows,
know. I
man?
mean, I bet the lions looked a lot more like this with Daniel than they did whenever the other guys got
Oh,
thrown
yeah.
in there.
Oh, yeah.
Right? They were probably not smiling at that point, right?
Yeah.
But it's so powerful when you look at Daniel's faith, because we see him serve in this, in the Babylonian regime, but he always makes sure everyone knows that he serves God and he's faithful to Him. Yeah. He faced out the window so everybody could see him. Going back to last week, one of the things we said with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego is they thought Daniel's relationship with Nebuchadnezzar was so strong, they knew they couldn't get Daniel, even though they saw him not bowing down.
Yeah.
But with this new king, they think, well, maybe he doesn't know Daniel well enough yet. But we see Daniel. It didn't take long for Daniel to show people, A, how faithful he is to God, and 2, just how great of a person he is, because they welcome him and keep him around. Mm-hmm. And don't want anything bad to happen to him, even if they're the ones who put him in the situation.
Yeah.
I mean, it's incredible.
Yeah, Daniel's pretty great. What can you say?
I guess. Some are, I guess. No.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
But can we talk about prayer for a second? Because I
I'd love
got to
to.
say, I mean, out of all the characters in the Bible, I think when it comes to prayer, Daniel is one of the first ones that we think about, because it's just impressive.
Yeah.
I mean, we talk about, we're told in 1 Thessalonians, pray without ceasing, and that's exactly what we see Daniel doing.
Yeah.
I mean, he was on a routine. It was
Yes.
3 times a day he was praying. And for me, I think, morning, afternoon, evening.
And that's how he kept that constant communication.
Yeah.
Like he was able to be so in tune with God and have that outlook because he physically talked to God 3 times. He was always in communication, like we say with prayer without ceasing. Mm-hmm. But 3 times a day, no matter what, he was making sure a conversation with God was happening. And the dedication, it's so easy to say you want to do that. I wonder how many people have set out. We have all these things, technology now, we can set reminders on our phone and all these kind of things to make sure we sit down and pray at these times. And yet, a lot of times we can't even do it. Mm-hmm. We get busy and we say, well, I'll do that later. And then we forget, well, I'll just get the next one. Yeah. That's not how Daniel operated. He said, no, this is what I'm doing at this time. There's nothing that can change that. Yeah. Even if it takes getting thrown into a den of lions.
And we see we see how important prayer is to him by when he gets thrown into the lions, and it's the first thing he's doing.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just so mind-blowing to me, because if I'm put in that situation, I'm probably running around and screaming like a girl, trying to avoid the lions. But Daniel just gets in there and he just prays, and that shows how much faith he had in God.
And you may have more, but I do want to point out one last thing. When Darius runs in, he yells down for Daniel. Daniel's response to Darius is really interesting to me. Now, don't get it mistaken. Darius, while he didn't really want to put Daniel down there, he still did it, right? Like he still put him in there, and he wished for the best for him. He did all those things. But when he comes and yells for Daniel, Daniel's response to him is, "O king, live forever." He doesn't hold a grudge towards the king. He says, I'm going to show you, I'll continue to show you that my God is more powerful than anything.
Yeah.
And just have faith in my God. And he didn't hold it against him. He just wanted him to know. He looked at it as an opportunity to show how powerful his God was. Yeah. And how incredible is that?
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Man.
Anything else jump out at you, man?
Not too much, man. What about you?
Like we said, there's just so much going from Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and Daniel seeing God take care of them at that point. That obviously had to give him some more, if like he needed it, but give him some more confidence. And I hope what we do when we read these stories, is let that give us confidence. Mm-hmm. Daniel was able to do that. He saw God deliver time and time again. He saw him do it with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. We have these stories that are not just written in a book. These things actually happened, right? And if we can take these things and put them in our lives so we can have more confidence in how powerful God is, it's going to make it a lot easier and possible for us to stand up when we need to stand up. because we have these stories and these examples.
Yeah, I agree.
Anything going on, man? Anything we need to tell them about?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so.
Don't forget, we'll be back for the Sunday night lesson at 5 o'clock, just right here on the same YouTube channel. We love you guys. We hope you guys enjoyed the craft. The Children's Education Community did awesome. How fun is that, man? Anytime, Lions are a favorite in the Mayfield household, so this was one we were really looking forward to, for sure. But we love you guys. We hope that you have a good week. Make sure you post your craft on the RNC Kids Facebook page so we can, enjoy it with you. But once again, big thanks to them and everyone who's taking care of us through this time.
Yep.
Love you guys.
Love you guys.